Wizards Postgame Live.
Stop number 4 on this 6-game road trip took us to Phoenix, Arizona for a night that was coming down to the wire, and it went the Wizards' way tonight. Bradley Beal, after 2 points in the first half, finishes the night with 27 points and 6 boards, and he wasn't the only one because Kyle Kuzma gave you 6 boards along with 29 points. What does that equal? A dub. That's what we've wanted around here, Wizards fans. So, by all means, first and foremost, thank you for staying up with us tonight. Welcome to Wizards Postgame Live. West Hall with Jason Smith. Sticks.
Golly.
We got one.
Got a little nervous, but
got one.
Got the dub.
We got the dub. So many different things and different thoughts. I want to yield the floor to you first before we're joined by Chris, Drew, and Megan. Sir, what did you make of this performance, especially considering that we didn't have the unicorn tonight?
Well, points off turnovers really stood out to me. They went out there, they got the job done. 25-8. They were taking advantage of it. They were going out there, getting in passing lanes. They weren't relaxing. They weren't saying, you know what, we're going to let the Phoenix Suns take it to us. They took it to the Phoenix Suns. They got into the passing lanes, they got out, they got in transition, and they really didn't look back. The second half, they had a 17-point lead. They evaporated going into the fourth quarter, and you thought, oh no, here we go again. This is going to be number 11 on this losing streak. But guess what? Bradley Beal got activated. He went to the free throw line. He was being energetic and getting there, and he really was more aggressive. That first half, he had 2 points.
Yeah.
Second half, he goes out there and dominates, getting to the free throw line. I think he had 14 free throws. And it was really a testament of him with a combination with Kuzma, Mr. Steady Eddie, and then Taj Gibson coming out there and providing that veteran presence.
Yes.
I mean, with no Porzingis out there, Gafford and Taj, they did a tremendous job. I mean, obviously you can say that Ayton had 30 points, 12 rebounds, but overall, the Wizards stayed with it. This is a team that was on a 10-game losing streak. They could have folded the chair and said, you know what, on to the next game. No, they did not. They realized the opportunity with Devin Booker being out.
True.
They took advantage of Chris Paul having 0 points until midway through the third quarter.
True.
So that's one of the things. Those are a lot of the things that I saw. I'm just sorry. I'm excited
There's
about
nothing wrong
the
with
win.
being excited. This is what we want. Winning should put a smile on your face. This is what we want, Wizards fans, right? Smiles. Yes. Good. But you talk about Daniel Gafford and Taj Gibson. I want to give them their flowers. Combining for 18 points. Combining for 11 boards. They made one person, and they did it especially well. Looking at Taj Gibson at the end of the game, clutch moments. I think he jumped in one possession 3 or 4 times, Sticks. It shows you that this guy is the veteran that they want him to be and need him to be.
Oh, absolutely. And that's why what we said in the pregame, it's not just Daniel Gafford. It's not just Taj Gibson. I thought there might have been an Anthony Gill sighting, but there wasn't. It was those two guys. And you saw Taj playing majority of the minutes in that fourth quarter. He did a great job. He was active on the defensive end. He had 5 fouls. Guess what? He utilized all 5 of those fouls. He knows he's not going to get big-time minutes, and he may not get to play next game, depending on if Porzingis is going to be out there. But guess what? He did his job. He did it efficiently. He did it effectively. He does anything to help his team win, and that's what you love about Taj.
He's not the only one. 16 points for Denny Avdia, having another double-double. He gives you 10 boards as well. So that brings me to tonight's live vote on a win. I want to know who is a bigger boost for tonight's performance. You can go to NBCSportsWashington.com/vote. It's between Gaff and Denny. Your vote. We'll hear from it here in a moment. But right now, I want to bring in Chris and Drew, because the excitement and the energy that they had.
They sounded so relieved that they finally got a win on the road. Chris was like, oh, finally.
Hey, it was a bad 10-day fishing trip, and we finally caught one fish.
Hey, that's all we get. You got to eat, and that's what it's about. Drew, you know what? I love that metaphor. Talk to me about what they had on the end of that line to finally reel in a W tonight.
Well, if we talking fishing terms, they got the skunk off the boat. That's for sure,
There
West
you go.
Hall. And they did everything they had to. They competed at a high level, and I love the adjustments. It wasn't just one guy that got this win for the team. It was them collectively as a group. And when you talk about the efforts, I mean, from Taj Gibson all the way down to Monte Morris, setting the tone defensively with the active hands. I thought Jordan Goodwin, all those steals and all that activity with his hands kind of rubbed off on Monte Morris. So he did a phenomenal job on the defensive end, along with Brad and other guys helping the helper. Denny Avdia, what about the job tonight he provided for his team, guarding multiple positions, having a double-double, doing a little bit of everything. And I love the adjustment by Bradley Beal, not going his way offensively in that first half, and made a concerted effort to get to the free throw line where he was 11 for 14, Chris.
For all the smoke that Bradley Beal gets from fans, I want them to have that same energy tonight. Because as bad as Brad played in that first half, he said enough is enough. He's hitting himself on the head. He's mad at himself. And what did he do? He turned the game by saying, every time I get that ball, I'm attacking the basket. 14 free throw opportunities. And I noticed something while Brad was doing that. The rest of his teammates were helping him up. The team on the bench was starting to get encouraged. The Washington Wizards trailed by 10 points with 5:35 remaining in this ball game. And they went on a 25-12 run. What are we talking about here? This team, the little things we kept talking about, guys. Little things are costing them. Free throws, box outs, anything you named it. Tonight, they did those little things and closed out a game in which where they must love playing in Phoenix. I don't know. They won 6 of their last 8 in this arena.
You brought up free throws. I didn't want to bring up free throws because the Wizards won, but they have to clean up that department. I mean, you can talk about all the positives, but you have to talk about the 9 missed free throws, because if you lose this game by 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 points, what are we talking about again? Losing the game due to the foul line. But
the only reason why I won't say free throws tonight, Drew, and I agree with you, is Avdia went 6 for 6, Kuz went 4 for 6, Beal went 11 for 14. So the majority of those people that were going to the charity stripe knocked down their free throws. But I agree with you, partner.
Well, hey, Drew, you talk about the 9 missed free throws. How about I use the number 9 and talk about something else positive for the Wizards tonight, and that's the 9 steals that the Wizards were able to get, along with the 4 block sticks. You and Drew know, sometimes it's not just about scoring. You got to be able to stop the opponent. We've talked about defense at a lot.
Well, they played great defense in that first half. They did their job. They were making sure that not let back and Chris Paul and DeAndre Ayton do their thing. Now, DeAndre Ayton, he got off, and he had a great game tonight. So did Landry Shamet. But overall, as the Wizards, they made adjustments at halftime. And I think Bradley Beal was beating himself up a little bit too much. In that first half, yeah, he didn't play the way he would have liked to. I mean, he had a great performance coming off the hamstring injury. But then coming into this game, he was very kind of, shot wasn't falling. He wasn't getting to the free throw line. Then that second half kicked in, and you saw him get activated. You saw him attacking the basket, getting to the free throw line. And that's the thing that you want to see from Bradley Beal on a nightly basis. Now, maybe he was trying to be a facilitator. Maybe he was a little indecisive with his shot and trying to facilitate a little bit too much. But in that second half, he took over. They got steals, they got stops, they got rebounds, and he just pushed it. It didn't matter who was down there, if he was going 1-on-2, 1-on-3, 1-on-4. But he was getting to the free throw line, and I think combination with him and Kuzma, they got the job done tonight.
Hey, Drew, forgive me for being greedy. I can't help, but I'm looking forward to Utah.
It's Christmas.
Right. I want another gift. I'm like, bring. How do the Wizards, what lesson or formula can we take from today's game against Phoenix and apply on the next game against Utah?
Now, you're never out of a ball game. We've seen it plenty of times in that third quarter where the Wizards will fall to victim of their mistakes. And I think they dug themselves out of that hole. They corrected the mind state of going into that third and fourth quarters, primarily Brad. It started with Brad adjusting his game of saying, you know what, forget the jump shots tonight, I'm going to attack. So I love the adjustments by the leaders. Kyle Kuzma's still been phenomenal. Guys are doing the little things. Taj Gibson did his part. Daniel Gafford continues to do what he's been doing. And you get Porzingis back, and this club gets healthy again with DeLon Wright. Hey, and then Rui Hachimura might be set here soon to come back. The hardest job right now is going to be the coach's job to see, who's earned some time and who's going to earn the right to play.
By the way, real quick, shout out to Kyle Kuzma, because when he came in with 5 minutes left in the game, what happened? So again, your 2 best players guided the Wizards to this victory tonight. A much-needed victory.
Gentlemen, I say this from the heart, another dub. You can throw it up, Chris and Drew. I want to thank you guys for a great call tonight. It's what it's all about. We'll see you Thursday against the Utah Jazz. Right now, Wizards fans, let's go into the post-game podium and listen to our head coach, Wes Unseld Jr.
We finally got some stops. I thought, Taj came in, impacted the game. I thought Monte late was good on Chris Paul. There just seems to be a little bit more urgency to everything we were doing, a little bit more physicality. And that's a huge step for us. We struggled to get the defensive boards. And I thought we got some huge ones late.
Wes, can you describe just the feeling after winning this one?
Well, hopefully I know everyone in that locker room is happy about it. Of course. I mean, we've kind of been through the fire here a bit. But I think it's just something that we can continue to build on. You play with that sense of urgency, with that level of physicality. Did a great job of not turning the ball over. which has at times been an issue for us. You know, I think you give yourself a chance. And you know, we minimized some of the mistakes that, you know, kind of jumped up and bit us the last few games.
How big were, I think it was Denny, Kuz, and Brad all three had big fourth quarters.
Yeah. No, it's, you know, the confidence that Denny played with, I thought was terrific. Obviously, Brad is Brad, and he's going to close games the way he did tonight. Got to the line 14 times. He was aggressive playing downhill. Even when, you know, shots aren't falling, you know, first half really struggled, but settled in, you know, made some big shots, you know, in that fourth quarter, and obviously got to the line.
How did you like both Taj and Gaff early?
I thought both were good. I mean, you know, Ayton is he's a load, and he's not an easy cover for anybody, you know, as far as one-on-one. And they do a good job of, you know, getting in post looks, in pick and rolls, like I said, where it's tough to bring help. You know, a lot of high lows, a lot of situations where he just buries him and, you know, catches in the paint. So I thought we were better in that fourth quarter, meeting him early, pushing him off his spots. Taj got 2 steals, you know, in those situations. Those are pivotal plays.
Your team was down 4 points, 196 with 3:39 to go. That was the point when Taj drew that charging foul on Ayton. How key was that?
Oh, it was huge. He had that. He had the block. Then he had that offensive rebound late. You know, those are 3 plays that, you know, don't necessarily tell the true picture. You know, obviously they show up in the box score, but then those are momentum shifting.
You talked about something you hope you could build off of this. Just the way you did it in terms of finally closing it out. How much easier? You always kind of talk about how it's easier to teach after a win.
Mm-hmm.
Is that something that can become ingrained and just like, okay, if we do these things, we can get out of these tight situations?
I hope so. I mean, we've seen it even in the handful of close games that we had won during that winning streak. So it's not, you know, completely new, but we've had some lapses and it's cost us, you know, during this losing streak. So hopefully, you know, we can turn the page and kind of get, you know, right the ship a bit.
Who won the belt tonight?
Taj.
Coach, Coach, happy holidays and congrats on the win.
Thank you.
How does it feel? What is the mindset like go through all the long losing streak, but we can close it tonight?
Well, I mean, it's no fun. It's tough. You know, I give these guys a lot of credit because they still continue to play hard. You know, even though, you know, the losses, you know, are tough to swallow, but it didn't affect their competitive spirit. You know, so that's I think a true indication of who they are, what they're about. They just kept moving forward, and you know, just trying to stay ready, stay competitive. You know, when you give yourself a chance, sometimes you make your own luck. Some of those hustle plays, you know, the 50-50 balls, the charge that Taj took. That's, you know, some of those are signs of making your own luck. Those are the plays that get you out of those ruts. So I'm happy for those guys. I know they're relieved, and, you know, excited at the same time. So hopefully they can turn the page and it's a new start.
You mentioned Denny's confidence there. He made a 3 there, I think, in the fourth. He hit some free throws there in the fourth. How happy are you for him?
Well, it's good to see him, you know, be in those situations and have success. You know, he struggled a bit early this season. I thought, you know, his confidence was waning a bit, but he settled in. And to have him out there on the floor, making plays, closing games, you know, I think that's terrific. It's development, it's growth. It's not only confidence building for him, it instills a lot of confidence in his teammates.
I feel like whenever
Head coach Wes Unseld Jr. at the post-game podium sticks. It was good to hear a couple of things that he mentioned: urgency, physicality, defensive rebounds, a lot of great stuff, and it's always good to hear those things in a win, because that's what it's all about. Again, the live vote that we asked you for a little bit earlier, NBCSportsWashington.com/vote. Who is the bigger boost tonight? Is it Daniel Gafford or is it Denny Avdia? Gaff gave you 12 in the starting lineup tonight in the absence of Porzingis. Denny gives you 16. Kind of cool in how it goes. Matter of fact, let's bring in Megan McPeak. What do you say to that?
Let's do it.
Let's bring in Megan McPeak. Megan, it is always a pleasure to see the smile after a big win. A dub is necessary. I'm curious what your thoughts were on the game, and more importantly about Kyle Kuzma really stepping in to go along with Bradley Beal, a smooth tandem, as we should say.
Well, for me, it goes to what Brad was saying in his post-game walk-off with me. They gutted it out. They had execution. They were getting it done on both ends of the floor. Did they make mistakes? Yes, there were mistakes made, but they made up for the mistakes that they made. Unlike we saw in this 10-game losing streak, as Brad said, there were games that they were in and could have won easily, but it was execution and mental mistakes that cost them it. So when you look at the fact that they were down, as Chris said, to close it out, 98-88 with just over 5 minutes to go, and they were able to gut it out on Brad's shoulders, along with Kyle Kuzma as well too. That says a lot about this team, and I know I've said it to you both before in this losing streak and throughout this early season. It's the fact that they have the determination and the will withal to continue to fight, because they could have packed it in once they were down 10. Could have easily just said, you know what, not our night, let's go to Utah, try to get a win there. But they continued to fight, and that says a lot to me about the character of these gentlemen.
The resilience of this team and being able to fight when they're down or to maintain leads when they're up. One of the things that I was appreciative about the fourth quarter, guys, like we were so talking about being able to take this game back from where it was. Sticks, in the fourth quarter, Kuz goes off, Brad goes off, everybody decides we're not going to lose this game tonight.
Well, you saw in the third quarter especially, they were giving up that 17-point lead, but in that fourth quarter, Brad took over. He was getting to the free throw line. They were getting stops. They were getting rebounds. They were going out in transition, and Brad just put his head down trying to get to the rim. They were fouling him repeatedly. I think there was 4 or 5 possessions in a row that he was getting to the free throw line, and that's what you wanted to see Brad do at the beginning of the game, and that's why he was so frustrated at the end. That post-game walk-off, he thought he had a bad game. You had a pretty good game, Mr. Beal. I think it was a little bit frustrating in the first part, but that second half, way to be a winner, not give up and continue to go out there and get the job done.
Indeed. Megan, I know we asked you this in pregame about the tone and the energy of the guys. What was some of what you were seeing down to those clutch moments in the fourth quarter? What was some of the tone and energy off the bench?
It was interesting to see because, as you mentioned, that third quarter, things got a little hairy. Let's be real. We're not going to lie. You watch the game yourselves. Fans watching at home could see, some of the body language. Things got a little interesting. And then you saw the push start to happen. You saw Brad say, you know what? I'm not falling for the jump shots anymore. I'm attacking. Let me see if I can get some guys in foul trouble. And then the energy picked up again from the bench. It picked up from the coaching staff. The one thing about this team is even in these losses and this losing streak that they were on before snapping it tonight, there was always positive energy from the coaching staff going to the players, trying to keep them and their spirits up. So I give a lot of respect to the coaches to continue to be positive in a tough situation. And you're asking these guys to do something. So the fact that, you take a punch and they threw a haymaker. Yeah. And the Wizards punched right back. They threw that right-left cross and then came up with that left hook, and they were ready to go. And it was on the shoulders of Bradley Beal. That is what you expect from your franchise player.
Megan, you bring up something that sticks as a former player yourself. I heard Drew talk about he's been in a losing streak that's way longer than ours. How do you maintain that as a former guy? Because everybody has egos, everybody has pride about their name and their reputation. How do you maintain a level when you're dealing with losing like that?
Well, Drew had a whole other level of 19 games when he was on Orlando. That is something that is just miserable to go through. But for me, I've been a part of 10-game, 11-game losing streaks, and you don't want to get into that trend and get comfortable in that losing. Now, if you can break it like the Wizards did tonight, it's a great feeling. Dinner feels better. Going to sleep, better. You get better rest. Your body feels a little bit better. But I think that moving forward, they need to keep this winning mindset on the road trip. You've got Utah, you've got Sacramento, both tough teams. And you need to take the positives that you did tonight. You were aggressive on the defensive end, you were getting into passing lanes, and you weren't just waiting for the fight to come to you. You took the fight to the other team. I think that's something that they really need to do in Utah, because you're going to be battling not only a tough team, but you're going to be battling the altitude.
Yeah.
That is extremely difficult to play up there. Denver is one of those places, you're playing in the Mile High City. Utah is a little bit higher in elevation, and you feel it just as much, if not more, there, too.
And this Utah Jazz team looking at this game tonight saying, they got Phoenix. Yeah. They're not about to get us. Yeah. We already know how that trap is set, so we'll definitely go ahead, Megan, you had something to say?
I was also going to say, I'm actually going to talk to Dean Oliver. He's the analytics guru on the staff. I want to find out, because this is a number that you can't just, look up on NBA stats, I would love to see how many deflections they had in this ball game, because Monte Morris alone probably had 4 or 5 himself. I would love to see the team number that they had based on the metrics that they use for getting and determining what they have for deflections. I'm going to try and find out that from Dean Oliver before we get to Utah and play Utah to see what they had coming out of this game against Phoenix, because they had a lot of deflections in this one.
I can't wait to find that number out. Remember, those deflections, we'll get those numbers to go along with the 9 steals we know that they had today. So, of course, Megan, do not move. I want to reintroduce this poll that we asked people earlier. Who was a bigger boost tonight? Was it Daniel Gafford or was it Denny Avdia? Denny gave you a 16-10 double-double. Gaff gave you 12 and 9 right there. Yeah, so close to having a double-double. So, of course, looking forward to your vote at NBCSportsWashington.com/vote. But on the other side, Kyle Kuzma. We're talking about him now. We're going to talk about him on the other side. And don't forget, you are moments away from Chase Hughes joining the show as well. So we'll have all that and more for you when PostGame Live returns. Welcome back to Wizards PostGame Live. Again, coming into this night, Wizards trying to snap a 10-game losing streak required some energy, some focus, and albeit in the absence of one of the big 3 in D.C. But back in the win column is where we belong. And, of course, that live vote we asked you about earlier at NBCSportsWashington.com/vote. Bigger boost between Gaff and Denny. Matter of fact, Megan, I was going to say Minnie. That's my brain moving too fast. Megan, who are you voting for? Is it Gaff or Denny?
You know what? And I'm going to preface this by saying I'm not taking a cop-out. They both were needed tonight, period.
Oh, that's
End
a
of
cop-out,
sentence.
Megan. Come on
no,
now.
it's,
We said
no,
one
Sticks,
or the other. You gotta
Sticks,
pick one.
Sticks, you've been in an 11-game losing streak yourself. When you get 2 players who step up, you know that it's needed, especially when you think of the fact that Kristaps Porzingis was not able to go tonight. So, in my opinion, both were a big boost and both were necessary. But for me, if I have to pick one, to Stix's point, I'm going to go with Daniel Gafford because he had to take on the assignment of DeAndre Ayton, which is not an easy task. It is a very tough task. We saw it. Him and Taj Gibson, they needed all 12 combined fouls between the 2 of them to try and contain him as best they could. And I thought first half to second half, they did a much better job in the second half containing him and making it difficult. At the end of the day, he's going to get his numbers. He is an NBA player and a professional. You cannot stop him. You've just got to try and contain him. They did a fantastic job limiting him as much as possible and making things difficult for him in that second half, especially in the pick and roll once they figured out how to maneuver it after that third quarter.
All right, Jason, you felt like you wanted to do you agree?
See, I have a definitive pick. I have Daniel Gafford, and just because of the struggles that he went through early on in the season, he got a little frustrated with himself. He couldn't stay out of foul trouble, but tonight got inserted in the starting lineup against a very difficult DeAndre Ayton. He did his job. He put pressure on Ayton on the offensive end. He was available for guys like Kuzma and Bradley Beal, dive into the basket, and he hung on the rim multiple times, and that's what you want to see from Gafford. You don't want to see him go out there, get a foul or anything, but he didn't play tentatively. He played aggressively, and he played within himself, and it takes a couple people to go out there against Ayton, and Taj Gibson came in and helped him out, and if you would have seen Gafford in there at the end of the game, maybe he got a double-double too, so I'm just going to pick Gafford.
I know, man. Look, it was such
as
great...
well, too, guys, especially when you think of the fact, when you hear what Gafford had to say after that Lakers game, he put a lot of frustration and a lot of pressure on himself for a couple of the mistakes that he made. And before the game, Coach Unseld was asked about it, and he said, yeah, he made a couple of mistakes, but that loss is not solely on his shoulders. It was an accumulation of everything. But that just shows you the type of mindset that Gaff has, that even though he had a really strong game against the Lakers and he had those 2 mistakes, he still put that loss on him and bounced back against another big in DeAndre Ayton. So I got to give him a lot of credit.
As I say, it's not how many times you get knocked down, it's how many times you get back up, and that's what this team showed you, a resilience and moxie, a refusal to lay down, and I appreciate it. Megan, I'm going to close out this poll. Right now it says Denny has the lead at 79%, so Wizards fans say Denny. The 2 of you say Gaff. I'll be weird and just say Taj Gibson. Shout out to you, old and ready. So we're going to close this out. Megan, thank you as always. We'll see you Thursday in Utah. High elevation for that game, by the way. Yeah, high elevation. But I want to thank you for there. By the way, final score, if you did not know, which I know you know because you're hanging out with us here on PostGame Live, 113 to 110. Washington gets the win to get the 12th one on the season. Kyle Kuzma with 29 points and 6 assists. Bradley Beal, 27 and 6 as well, but those were 6 rebounds. And, of course, Kyle Kuzma right here at the postgame podium.
I feel like we halfway closed it out because we almost tricked it off. you know, we still have a lot of lapses in the game and down the stretch a lot in the fourth. Obviously, we hit some shots tonight, and it didn't hurt us, but it's been the same story. So tonight, I mean, we hit shots, congrats, but, you know, we have to minimize some of the mental lapses.
Did those mental lapses evaporate there over the final 5 minutes?
No, we still had plenty of them. The only thing that masked it was we hit some shots.
What did Denny do well? Wes mentioned that he was playing with confidence. Did you see the same thing tonight?
Yeah, I mean, he played well tonight. He played with confidence, shot the ball pretty well. You know, we still need him. We do need him, but, you know, down the stretch, he has to be a little bit better, you know, just with certain things. But it's just great to see him play confident, and so he got a double-double tonight. Rebounded well. It's big time.
You talk about the same problem still existing despite a win.
Yeah.
What does the win mean then, other than get the streak off your back?
I mean, yeah, it just means like just a little breather. Got a little streak. You know, lost 10 straight. One win is fun for sure. But it's not like, you know, hooray, because we just lost 10 straight. So, you know, consistency has been a thing with us. So hopefully we carry the good from tonight to Utah.
Kyle, what kind of lift did Taj give you guys?
Taj was huge. He just had some big-time plays. He had a big-time strip in the third quarter. Battled with DeAndre Ayton. You know, he's a horse down there. And, you know, prevented him during that fourth from, you know, getting a lot of offensive rebounds, which he was killing us throughout the game. So Taj was instrumental tonight.
We know how ticked off you guys have been losing 10 straight, but to what degree do you feel like this season can still turn around?
I mean, we got to do it. You know, I can say I hope so, we will, but like I said, consistency has been a problem with us. We need to definitely, you know, come in with the same type of mind frame. I thought we played great team ball tonight. Defensively, we were solid. You know, you're not going to be perfect. You're going to make mistakes, but we played hard and we competed, and I hope that showed us, you know, when we play hard and we compete and our competitive spirit is high, we have a chance to, you know, be in every ball game. So,
Possibility that DeLon will be back in before the end of the road trip. To what degree does that give optimism?
A lot. I mean, he's a really good, sound basketball player. You know, he's a player that over the first 4 games prior to getting hurt, you know, he was huge for us. You know, guarding, point of attack, being a point guard, just being solid, being him, getting deflections, playing defense. You know, it's going to be good just to get another vet back, you know, just that's solid. And that's shown that he can help us win games.
That focus is all about winning games, and when we get on the other side, we're going to have somebody on the show that knows not only about the winning side of life, but how to do it from a statistical perspective. Yes, I'm talking about Chase Hughes. Chase Hughes on PostGame Live after a win. Back in a moment. Welcome back to Wizards Post-Game Live. Final score 113-110. But let's take a look back at our bold prediction from the night, brought to you by Greenberg and Betterman. Go to gblawyers.com and feel better. Today's prediction, Wizards having 10 or more threes versus the Phoenix Suns. The results are in. 11 were made. That means the crew are geniuses and being correct tonight. Again, Greenberg and Betterman. Go to gblawyers.com and feel better. As we are now joined by Chase Hughes. I told you he was going to be joining the show tonight. I'm glad he's here. He and Jason Smith decided to match gray suits, and I'm not mad at it because they look really good. There you
I
go.
look way better. I'm probably the best dressed media member out here.
What winning does. Life
Still
is
hanging on to that
one. Oh, man, don't even remind me. I thought about it. Anyway, I'm going to stay focused. I'm going to ask you about your thoughts on the game tonight because we've heard from Megan and Chris and Drew. What about you?
Well, first of all, a much-needed win, to state the obvious. Obviously, it's good for the Wizards, but it's also good for you guys. You've been having to talk about a lot of losses lately, but the Wizards really needed this one after losing 10 straight. I was really impressed with how Bradley Beal woke up in the second half, because in the first half, he had to deal with Mikal Bridges guarding him. He's one of the best perimeter defenders in the league. Beal was 1 for 8 in the first half, had 2 points. But it was vintage Bradley Beal, and that you can only hold him down for so long. He can score in so many different ways that he's going to find a way to get the ball in the hoop. He did that tonight. Also, the way the Wizards played without Kristaps Porzingis, the last time Porzingis was out was a complete disaster, right? They gave up 98 paint points to the Denver Nuggets. Granted, Nikola Jokic wasn't out there tonight, but DeAndre Ayton's still really good, so credit to Taj Gibson and Daniel Gafford. But this was just a game that I think the Wizards really needed to win, and blowing that 17-point lead, I think we were all pretty nervous, but they managed a way to come back from down 10 with about 5.5 minutes to go.
At that late in the fourth quarter, I had my hit where I asked Chris and Drew not only about Brad, but I was like, how can he and Kuz combine to put this thing into the dub column for this team? What were your thoughts about Kuz, especially in that second half?
Two really good games from him in a row. You know, he went out to L.A. Where he used to play with the Lakers and had 16 rebounds, a really good game, 22 points and that night. And then tonight he just showed that he could do a little bit of everything. And it's just the consistency from him this year that has really stood out to me. He's played 30 games for the Wizards this season, one of the few guys who's played that many for them this year because there's been so much change. And this is the 20th time he's reached 20 or more points. So he's been arguably their most consistent player. And he's just so many things well. And we've talked so much about how it's a continuation from last season where really in the second half he started becoming more aggressive with the ball because he became more of a primary scoring option. But there's one play, we didn't really see it tonight, that's really stood out to me recently, and that is how he can score playing bully ball. He's got such great timing when he realizes that he has a defender moving their feet, and he goes right at them, and he is able to avoid committing a charge. And I think it's just a really effective weapon that really no one's figured out how to stop yet.
Indeed. So that leads me to this question for you, Jason. Which version of Kuz is more dangerous, considering everything that Chase just said? Is downhill Kuz more deadly, or is I'm going to shoot from the three Kuz more deadly?
Oh, pick your poison. It's going to be one of those things where it's you have downhill Kuz, he's going to put you on a poster, or you got clutch Kuz shooting threes in your face. And that's what makes him so deadly, is that he can go off the dribble, he can get to the rim, he can go out there and give you a three-point basket. It's not just one facet of his game. By the way, to Chase's point of the bully ball, he's 6'10". People forget the fact that he's so big because he's so mobile and agile out there. And that's what makes him so dangerous. That's why we love to see the Wizards' big three of Porzingis, Kuzma, and Bradley Beal, because who are you going to stop? Kuzma's sitting over there as Bradley Beal and Porzingis are in pick and roll, and he's just licking his chops for a three or having that launching pad getting to the rim. So it's amazing to see what they can do. And when one sits out in any given night, the others elevate their play, and that's what I like to see from Kuzma.
Well, I want to talk about another with you too, Chase. Jordan Goodwin. I've watched, of course, the chasing stats that you did about him, but he's been extremely impressive. I just want to get your thoughts on what Mr. Goodwin has done as of recent for this team.
Well, I think his emergence, there's some big picture takeaways for me. One is just the fact that it's a payoff for like a years-long investment from the Wizards in their G League team. And there you see Larry Hughes actually noticed the chasing stats. Larry Hughes was one of my favorite players back in the day for the Wizards, and they went to the same college, which is still just amazing that Jordan Goodwin is doing things for the first time since Larry Hughes. But Jordan Goodwin is a payoff for a years-long investment that the Wizards have made in their G League team. And they put a lot more resources into their G League team than a lot of other franchises do. I see it up close going to practices because the Go-Go, they train in an NBA facility. A lot of teams don't have that option. They don't get the same access to NBA nutrition. But I've also talked to people around the league who've pointed out to me that the payroll for the Wizards G League team is much higher than a lot of other teams. So, yeah, it's not just the financial investment. There's a lot of effort that's put in by Amber Nichols and Mike Williams, the people that work there. And it's all for this. It's all to find diamonds in the rough. And I think it's important in the bigger picture because, you know, in order to build a contender in the NBA, you have to over-index on draft spots, right? We talk so much about tanking and getting lucky in the lottery, but you have to find players who are undrafted, who are late first-round picks, who become rotation players or more. And I think Jordan Goodwin's showing us right now that he is a rotation player in the NBA. And I think people should not sleep on his ceiling. I wouldn't be surprised if he's a starting caliber point guard fast forward a year or two from now.
I was going to say, so we start off with the guy who's on a two-way, and you're like, he might get some minutes on the court. An opportunity presents itself. He goes off, and now, in my opinion, he's on opposing teams' scouting report. Where does he go from here, Chase?
I think Monte Morris is a great example to look at because just like Jordan Goodwin, You know, he went through the G League system, and he became a capable backup, and then he became a starter in the NBA. Now he's been traded to the Wizards, where he's got a more secure position as a starter. But what's working in Jordan Goodwin's favor is his biggest strengths. He defends, he makes threes, and he gets into the paint off the dribble. And I think that's the type of player that can fit on any roster. But if the Wizards want to move forward with the Bradley Beal, Kristaps Porzingis, and Kyle Kuzma trio, that's basically exactly what you want from the point guard position. You want someone who can spread the floor, and you want someone who can get into the paint. And we all know they need defense on the perimeter, and Jordan Goodwin can provide that.
I love the frustration that Jordan's given opposing point guards and nagging anybody else who dare dribble a ball around him, because he's got active hands, high IQ basketball, very underappreciated, and I love what he's doing. Chase, we always thank you for coming, brother. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, it's all about, it's family here. Chase, you're good luck charm. You showed up. They won. So
that's right.
You got to come back.
We got to remember that.
So speaking of remembering things, I want you to remember some times you spent with Bradley Beal on the court, Jason Smith, talking to you. We're jumping in the film room on the other side.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Hey, Sticks, we talk about sharing is caring. How about Bradley Beal and some assist in the film room, sir?
My former teammate, he got the job done in the second half. In the first half, though, he was being a facilitator. He has the vision. He's kind of looking to see what the defense is set like. He passes this thing from three-point line to three-point line across to Kyle Kuzma. Kyle Kuzma had nothing but net. But he was getting everybody activated. His shot might have not been going in the first half, but what does he do? He collapses the defense, and he gets things open for other people on his team. And regardless if his offense is flowing, you want to see him continue to do things to affect the game, and that's exactly what he did. A veteran right here, getting into the defensive position. You always want to be there for the rolling big, but he read Chris Paul's eyes. He's like, you know what? You're not really activated to throw it to Ayton. I'm just going to step into this passing lane real quick. Great hands right there. And rather than try and push the ball up himself, he's a quarterback, I guess, throwing the ball 63 feet to Denny Avdia for a nice little transition dunk there. He got activated in that second half, but again, getting out there in transition, he put his head down the entire second half, but he realized that the defense had collapsed on him. He found Kyle Kuzma yet again, and a crucial bucket towards the end of the game. Nice, big-time three to give the Wizards a road win. And for Bradley Beal, give him credit, because he could have put his head down and pouted that things were going his way. And he was even pissed at himself at the end of the game, saying that he had a terrible game. No, Brad. You had a bad first half. You rebounded and had an amazing second half, getting to the free throw line, continuing to attack the basket. And that 17-point lead did evaporate, but you put the team on your back and you came out with a dub. And credit to Bradley Beal.
I love that Brad is his own worst critic, and that he was, I had a bad game. I'm like, no, like you said, he had a poor first half, but he turned the lights on and became active. And again, with corner Kuz, like it's
can't go wrong. Buddy Ball out there, he knew that Kuz had a hot hand as well, and he said, you know what? I'm not going to do this all by myself. I got my Kuz running mate over there in the corner.
Sharing is caring. It's all about distribution, my friend. Thank you very much. Matter of fact, let's have a little fun, because earlier in the night, we went ahead and looked at FanDuel, and we were like, oh, these are some cool things that might happen in the same game relay parlay. Well, now we get to look back at our best bets, brought to you by FanDuel, where we make every moment more. And if you would have said Denny Avdia was going to have a double-double today, his fourth on the season, by the way, you'd be at plus 550. A $10 bet would have won you $55. Then the Wizards winning under 225.5 is at plus 550 as well. Another $10 bet would have won you $55. Sticks, I have to say this. It is a win. I'm excited to have guys playing the way that they want to. My ultimate question is this. In this win, did we find something that was templatable and able for us to move forward and possibly reapply today's game against Utah?
Defense. Getting into the passing lanes. Monte Morris started the party. He was playing aggressive defense. He was getting in the passing lanes. It caused turnovers, and you took advantage of those points off those turnovers. You need to do that in Utah. Now, I know it's going to be a little bit different because of the altitude, but you have to take that defensive aggression and go out there and apply that, because if you sit back and take the first punch, you're constantly trying to dig yourself out of a hole. And I think with the Wizards, if they can go out there and do the job from the jump and attack people on the defensive end, your offense will come. Getting out in transition is the easiest way to score baskets. Playing against a set defense after they've made countless shot after shot after shot, that's extremely difficult to win games. But their efficiency of taking care of the ball and turning the ball over conversely, that's something they need to take on the road in these last couple games before Christmas.
Protect the ball, put the brown thing through the round thing, as they've said. That's what it all comes down to. We talked about Bradley Beal and his second half performance tonight. Here he is in the post-game locker room with his thoughts after tonight's win.
It's a little bit of both. You know, I think it's definitely a testament to, you know, the way we've been playing. You know, we've been playing really good basketball. It's not like we've been getting blown out. It's not like teams are just coming beating the hell out of us. You know, we're losing a lot of close games. You know, there's a few plays here and there that we just have to clean up. And tonight it was rebounding. You know, can we clean up the boards? And we did that in the second half. Did a really good job of containing Aiden, containing Craig, and all those guys that are crashing. And, you know, in the fourth, we just turned it on. You know, we kind of give up that big lead in the third, and, you know, fourth quarter, it was, you know, it was winning time. So we buckled down, got stops like we needed to, and those always lead to easy buckets for us.
Obviously not your normal shooting night to start. At what point did you feel like you were finally in rhythm and able to kind of start seeing the ball go through the hoop a little bit more?
I mean, at the beginning of the game, like, I'm always locked in. You know, it's just a matter of the ball falling. If it goes in, it goes in. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I just stay with the same aggression. Seeing we were in a bonus early in the fourth, and I just stayed in attack mode and just kept getting to the line. Granted, missed a few and wish I had those back, but, you know, I don't get too high or too low. You know, I'm in year 11. I'll be damned if I'm going to cry about missing shots at this point in my career. I'm not doing that.
I like to see a smile on his face, and I want to see a smile on yours too, because it's the holiday season and FanDuel is giving new customers a no-sweat first bet up to $2,500. Santa Barkley is back, and you can download the FanDuel app to start making every moment more. And we've got more show for you here on PostGame Live, getting you ready for the Utah Jazz on the other side. Welcome to PostGame Live. Next time you're going to see our face, it will be Thursday at 8:30, taking on the Utah Jazz for Wizards pregame live. And, of course, we'll be here for postgame live immediately following the game on NBC Sports Washington. Well, Sticks, we're talking about the Utah Jazz. That's who's on the schedule for Thursday. How do the Wizards get a win? This team's lost a couple here recently.
That's going to be a difficult combination. I think the Utah Jazz have found a player in Lauri Markkanen. He is playing out of his mind. He had 38 points tonight with 9 threes. He's attacking the basket. He is balling. But also Jordan Clarkson, former Sixth Man of the Year. He's a good player. But as a Wizards fan, you got to have Bradley Beal get activated. I know he got activated in that second half, but I want to see him go at that Utah defense and make sure that he gets to the free throw line from the first quarter and on. But also Kyle Kuzma.
Yeah.
Continue to lean on him. He's been Mr. Consistent. Denny Avdia had a great night tonight.
Let's go.
I want to see Porzingis back in the lineup. I hope they don't try and push him out there too much. But to see all that combination. Now, remember, Utah took a loss in D.C. They're going to remember that.
Yes, they are.
And they're going to try and take that thing to Utah, or to the Wizards when they go up there to Utah.
I think that's why they talked about. Kuz said it, Brad said it as well. Intensity, focus, that's what it has to be in order to get a win against Utah. On behalf of our great crew and staff here at NBC Sports Washington, Jason Smith and I am Wes Hall. Thank you so much for spending your night with us. A winning Tuesday night. That's what it's all about. Getting dubs. Next up, Utah. Thursday night, we'll be right here to see you. Join us for Wizards pregame live on NBC Sports Washington.